In this lesson, we will be learning how to measure the perimeter of rectilinear shapes without grids. A rectilinear shape is a polygon where all lines meet at right angles. We will be building on our knowledge of how to use a ruler correctly in order to measure the length of each side. This will enable us to calculate the perimeter. The perimeter is the distance around the edge of a shape. It is a measurement of length, so is often measured in millimeters, centimeters, or meters. To find the perimeter of a shape, we add together the lengths of all its sides. The shape below is on a grid that is made up of 1 centimeter squares. What is the perimeter of this shape? To find this out, we first need to work out the length of each side. How can we do this? We can use the squares to work out the length of each side of the rectilinear shape. Each square has the length of 1 centimeter. We can use this information to help us to work out the length of each side because we can count the number of squares that each side is made up of. For example, the length of the top of the shape is 2 squares long. Therefore, the length is 2 centimeters. The length at the bottom of the shape is 5 squares long. Therefore, its length is 5 centimeters. Now that we know the length of each side, we can work out the perimeter of the shape. The perimeter is the distance around the edge of a shape. To find the perimeter of this shape, we must add together the lengths of all its sides. 2 centimeters, add 3 centimeters, add 3 centimeters, add 2 centimeters, add 5 centimeters, add 5 centimeters, equals 20 centimeters. So the perimeter of the shape is 20 centimeters. Today we are going to be learning how to calculate the perimeter of a shape without a grid. For this, we need a ruler. Here is an image of a ruler. You may want to look at your own ruler as well. This ruler has a number line at the top that measures in centimeters. When we use a ruler to measure, it is important to remember that we must start at 0, not from the start of the ruler. The numbers on this scale are the centimeters. We can see that the scale goes up in ones. Each whole centimeter is split into 10 smaller increments. These are millimeters. There are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. On the other side of the ruler, you may notice a different scale. This scale represents inches. We will not be using this scale to measure perimeter, so it is important to ensure that you are measuring using the correct scale. Below is a rectangle. What is the perimeter of this shape? We are going to use our ruler to work out the length of each side of the rectangle. Let's start by measuring the length of the longest side. We need to place our ruler alongside the length we are going to measure. Remember, we must line up the start of the length we are measuring with the 0. Now we must look at the number on the scale that the length of the rectangle ends on. The length of this rectangle is 4 centimeters because when we line it up with the 0 at the side, the end of the length finishes at the 4 centimeter increment. We know from our knowledge of shapes that the opposite sides of a rectangle are equal in length. Therefore, the opposite length of this rectangle is also 4 centimeters. Now we must measure the shorter side, also known as the width of the rectangle, using the same method. Firstly, rotate the ruler so that it is in line with the side that we need to measure. Line up the start of the side with 0 and then look at the end of the side to see what measurement it ends on. We can see here that the length of this side is 3 centimeters. Remember, opposite sides on a rectangle are equal, so we can label both of these sides 3 centimeters. What is the perimeter of the rectangle? Now that we know the length of each side, we can calculate the perimeter by adding up the total of all the lengths. 4 centimeters add 3 centimeters, add 4 centimeters, add 3 centimeters equals 14 centimeters. Look at the final calculation that we completed in order to find the perimeter. Is there a more efficient calculation that we could do? As you can see here, when we calculate the perimeter of a rectangle, we add the length and the width together twice. We could make this method more efficient by adding the length to the width and then multiplying our answer by 2. 4 centimeters and 3 centimeters equals 7 centimeters. 7 centimeters multiplied by 2 equals 14 centimeters. The perimeter of the rectangle is 14 centimeters. Shape. Look at this rectilinear shape below. To calculate the perimeter, first we need to measure the length of each side. We may need to rotate the ruler to measure the different sides. In step 1, we can see that the length of the bottom side is 5 centimeters. In step 2, the length of the side to the left is also 5 centimeters. In step 3, the shorter length to the right is 2 centimeters. Sometimes we can use the measurement of the opposite side to help us to calculate some of the lengths. Look at step 4. The longer side and shorter side on the right of the shape total the same length as the long side along the left. We can see that it is 3 centimeters. 3 centimeters add 2 centimeters equals 5 centimeters. We may also need to rotate the shape in order to measure some of the sides. Otherwise, we would be trying to read an upside-down ruler. In step 5, we have rotated the shape to measure the length of this side. The length of this side is 3 centimeters. We can use the length of the side in step 5 and the opposite side to calculate the length of the side in step 6. The opposite side is 5 centimeters and the side measured in step 5 is 3 centimeters. The difference between 5 centimeters and 3 centimeters is 2 centimeters. Therefore, the length of this final side is 2 centimeters. Now that we have measured all the sides, we can calculate the perimeter of the shape. We do this by adding up the length of all the sides. Unlike rectangles, we cannot multiply the total of the length and the width by 2. All the measurements are shown in centimeters. So 3 add 3, add 2, add 2, add 5 equals 20. Therefore, the perimeter of this rectilinear shape is 20 centimeters. Now that we are confident with measuring the perimeter of rectilinear shapes, let's apply our learning to some reasoning and problem-solving questions. Jake is trying to find the perimeter of the shape below, but he has accidentally spilt ketchup on it. Use the ruler and given measurements to determine the possible perimeters. First, we need to consider the lengths of the sides that we do know from what is given. The longest side on the left is 8 centimeters. We can use the ruler to then measure the side that is at the very top. The length of this side is 4 centimeters. The top right-hand side is given to us and is also 4 centimeters. We can also determine the bottom right side by calculating the difference between 8 centimeters, the opposite side, and 4 centimeters, the side that is given. This tells us that the length of this side is 4 centimeters. Now we can consider what the final 2 missing sides could be. The length at the bottom could be any length up to and including 9 centimeters. In the answer shown, we have chosen 7 centimeters. If this is the case, the final side must be 3 centimeters because the difference between 7 centimeters and 4 centimeters is 3 centimeters. Therefore, the perimeter of the shape would be 30 centimeters. Victoria says, I can work out the perimeter of this shape by imagining it is a simple rectangle because the perimeter will be the same. Is Victoria correct? Explain your reasoning. Victoria is correct. If we look at the image on the left, we can see that the total length of the side equals the same as the length if it were a full rectangle. The shape has broken down the whole length into parts, but the total of the sides remains the same. Therefore, if we add up each side individually, we get the same answer as if we add up the sides as a rectangle. As all measurements are in centimetres, 3 add 2, add 2, add 2, add 6, add 2, add 1, add 2 equals 20 centimetres. And 4 add 6, add 4, add 6 equals 20 centimetres.